Welcome to Courageous Conversations with Dr. Argie. Here, we transform lives, one courageous conversation at a time.
Hi.
Hey, beautiful. Welcome. So good to see you.
So
are
good to see you
beautiful.
too. Thank you.
Come on in. This is, that's going on. Thank God it's Friday.
Yes,
whatever,
girl.
Right? But it's going to be airing on another day. But
yes,
for now,
especially because I'm not used to this Monday to Friday life. I just started working as a nurse from Monday through Friday, so I'd be like, okay, TJF.
Oh, you gotta tell me about that. Like every time, I got some stories. But so you don't live far from Germantown. Are you born and raised in Philly?
Yep, I am. I'm born and raised in Philly, but now I live in the suburbs of Philly. But I live like 10 minutes from here.
Okay,
so I'm still a Philadelphian.
So it's interesting. When I went to Howard, we were just talking about this last night. Went to Howard, and in Philly, it's based on the high school you went to. And so when I went to Howard, and there were people in the suburbs of Philly, if you were, they would be like, "Yeah, I'm from Philly." I'm like, "Where you been? Where you from?"
Okay,
and
so I
they'd be
went
like,
to Germantown.
You went to Germantown.
Period.
Okay. All right. Okay. So you're a real Philly girl.
Of course.
Like you can't really, and interesting enough, people would say they would be from Jersey, and they'd be like, "Where you from?" "I'm from Philly." I'm like,
first of all, people from Jersey compare Jersey to Philly like Jersey isn't a state and Philly isn't a city. Like, what are we doing?
that part. That part, like, period. Let's start there. Yes. State, city, two different things.
Right.
And some people would say, be from Delaware, and like I'm from Philly, but they just wanted to be cool.
Right. I feel them. I mean, I get why.
Now,
we are kind of.
I went to Girls Side. I wasn't so cool, but, maybe a cool nerd or whatever, right? But listen. Thank you. Welcome to the Courageous Conversations show with Dr. Argie. It's a pleasure to have you here. And you're just absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
Glowing.
Thank you.
Glowing. So, when I realized you were going to be on the show, I started thinking back to when I wanted to be a nurse, right? And that was when I was a little girl. Do you remember? I don't know if this is what you always wanted to be, but I know early on I wanted to be a nurse.
Okay.
And I feel like there was a show. Why I'm blocking on the name of the show right now, but it was a Black woman who was a nurse. And she had a little uniform on, she had her little hat on, just wanted to be a nurse. And then I had an accident. Okay. It was a bike accident. I happened to be on the back of my cousin's friend's bike, and my foot got caught in the spokes, and she kept riding, and I was trying to tell her, like, stop. Finally, a block later, she stopped. And she saw where I was in distress. She picked me up to carry me to my aunt's house. But I looked down. She was like, don't look down, don't look down. So I finally looked down, and I literally was bleeding, like blood was pouring out of my foot because the spokes were just kept, like, it was breaking the skin. I'm sorry. You crutching your face up like you're not a nurse.
So I just am very empathetic. So like I'll be trying to, my poker face to my patients is great. But other people, I'll be like, oh my God.
So I'm like, is she a nurse? But no, so that was the first time. I guess I must have been about 6 or 7, but I didn't know that people bled. I didn't really know about blood. And then I know they stitched it up. I was like on crutches or whatever. And then somebody like maybe a year later was like, do you still want to be a nurse? I was like, no, I don't want to be a nurse. I was like, I don't think I have the stomach for that.
That's it.
We're done. We're done with being a nurse. And so therefore I became a therapist.
Okay.
And so I still always wanted to help people. I just didn't have the stomach for the physicality. Yeah. But did you always want to be a nurse?
So I didn't know that it was that. I knew that I was fascinated with the human body. Like, I was like, oh my God, how does it do that? Like, just really think about it. Like, first of all, I'm the youngest of 6.
Oh, wow.
So my older sisters were pregnant and having kids when I was really young. So I was at my older sister's house and she was pregnant, and I would be like feeling her belly, and I'm like, wow.
Where's it coming from? How's it going to get here?
Your body created a whole nother human with very little other resources. But if I cut my arm off right now, it doesn't regrow.
So you were trying to figure that out.
Yes. I was literally writing English papers about childbirth and like, at like 12. So I'm sure they thought I was going to be a teenage mom, but that's not what happened. I just was really interested.
They're like, oh, watch out for that one.
Right. And then my grandmother has also been a diabetic since she was in her 30s. So I've taken care of her. I've given her insulin since I was 5 years old.
Wow.
So I think that I just always, my mother is a teletech, which is a telemetry technician, which is the person that watches the heart monitors.
Oh, okay.
So she would come home with like her strips and talk to me about this and that. So I think in general, I always had like a nurturing mindset, but I just didn't know what it was. I started out wanting to be pre-med. I wanted to be an obstetrician. But then I saw my first birth and was like, the nurses do everything. No shade, because they gonna chew me up. No, my bad, y'all.
They do a lot. Y'all
They
do a lot. Y'all do a
The
lot.
obstetricians do their job. Shout out to y'all.
Yeah.
But when it came to laboring and the woman laboring, the nurses do a lot of
The
that.
nurturing, the attentiveness,
Yes.
the long hours during the labor, when you call it the laboring, the aftercare, all of that. So it's we need them all. We need all of you medical practitioners. And I'm not going to say but y'all are thebomb.com. Like
you.
y'all really show up. And I've been in many, many, many hospitals. And one thing I know for sure, two for certain, you better get good with the nurses.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
Like,
we run the show.
Don't play.
We run the show.
You
Especially
really
when
do.
you get a good one. They run the doctors too, to a certain extent. You know, we work as a team, but the doctors, the good doctors know that they have to rely on the nurse to get good care. You know what I mean? So if you want your orders fulfilled, your best bet is to communicate with the nurses better.
Yeah. So, you said one of 6. And where do you fall in birth
I'm the
order?
youngest of all of them. And by far, like my older sister to me is 7, and the next one above that is 11 years. So I'm the baby. So I kind of, yes, I'm the youngest of 6, but I grew up mostly as like an only child because they were all out of the house before I could remember.
So did you ever have a conversation? Are your parents still here? Are they
Yes,
still
they're alive.
Okay. And so shout out to parents who these days birth like 6 kids, right? Talking about childbirth because we make an assumption that it's easy breezy and that there's not going to be any problems or there's not going to be any complications. But for Black women specifically, the maternal mortality rate, the infant mortality rate is the highest that's ever been.
Right.
And part of that happens to be that we're not always listened to. We're not always heard.
Right.
So when you find a medical practitioner that is attentive, that hears the woman and hears, quite frankly, the man, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't talk about maternal health if you don't talk about paternal
Absolutely.
health. Like it goes hand in hand.
Absolutely.
Right. That baby did not get, like, I'm going to say born, but like even conceived
Right.
without both.
Absolutely.
Right. So have you talked to your parents about like how you got here? No, I'm saying, just curious.
So
since it's 7 years between you and the next.
Yes. So my mom only has 2.
Okay.
My dad has more.
More, okay.
But the funny thing is that I feel like my mom didn't know much about childbirth until I was born, until I had my son. Because
How's that?
I feel like back in the day, you kind of just got pregnant and nobody talked about childbirth. Like nobody had conversations about like what's your birthing plan 40 years ago.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like nobody talked about that kind of stuff. So my mom didn't understand. When I told her I was going natural, I delivered naturally. Okay, on a birthing stool.
On a birthing stool at home?
No, I was at a hospital, but it was a birthing suite ran by midwives. But I took complete. Remember, I told you I was obsessed with childbirth as a kid. So I took complete control of my birth. I was like, "Don't do this. Don't do." They said they don't eat. Don't eat. I ate a burger. Don't tell me what to do. I'm cool. Like you know what I mean? Like I didn't want.
You were hungry.
Yeah,
the baby was hungry too.
None of that. Like they put the monitors on me. I took them off. Like I felt fully like this is my experience. My body knows what to do. I gave birth in 4 hours on a birthing stool. I didn't have any interventions.
Wow.
And the crazy part is I almost mourned for Black women that can't have that experience because even me, somebody that, of course, I never tell people I'm a nurse, but I was in the hospital. I gave birth to my son and no complications, nothing.
Wow.
The nurse comes in, the doctor comes in, the NICU doctor. Mind you, my son is healthy. He's cooling. He's sitting on my chest. He's not, he's perfectly fine. She's like, oh, we're going to take your son to the NICU and he'll be on quarantine. And actually, you can't go down there unless you do X, Y, and Z. But
why was this?
He had little like pimples in his sebaceous areas, like his wet areas, like his neck, his groin, his armpits. And mind you, they don't know that I'm a nurse. So I'm like, well, what do you mean? She's like, yeah, we're going to give him a lumbar puncture, which is a humongous needle going directly into his spine. Yeah, we're going to test him for this and the third. No, you're not. And I immediately said, Okay, so now we can go on quarantine. You're going to give us a private room. You're going to wear gowns before you come in our room. Actually, now he's not leaving my sight. He's not going down there with y'all at all. You know what I mean? And none of that's going to happen. And what you're going to do is you're going to open one of the pimples. You're going to pop it and you're going to culture the pimple, because your first job is to do no harm. Your first job is to do the least invasive procedure first.
Yeah.
Why would your first thought of a newborn baby that you clearly found healthy enough to leave with me? He barely got vital signs done and y'all done left the room because remember, he doesn't have an epidural in him, so he's completely awake. And so y'all thought he was safe enough to stay with me, but now he's in the NICU getting a procedure. No, ma'am. But he was fine, by the way. The pimples were nothing. But I mourn for those women that would not have known to tell them no. How would you know? They telling me it could be a brain disorder. It's a pimple. I know what you're talking about.
Wow.
But again, what do those women do that aren't in healthcare and have no idea what she's even saying? She wasn't even speaking in regular jargon. She was speaking medical jargon to me, you know? So it's those moments where I struggle sometimes with leaving the bedside, because I be wanting to say like, no, girl, what she said was, this is what happened. And what's your decision? You know, I want to translate sometimes because you're so scared that you just take on whatever they say. And that's not to discount what healthcare workers have to say, because we're telling you what, you know, sometimes does need to happen. But at the same time, there's more than one way to skin a cat sometimes. And we are at a teaching hospital, and you do need a certain amount of lumbar punctures before you can graduate.
Yeah. Oh, that part. That part. That's the skin and cat stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
So I don't know why they say that. Well, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Like, why are we talking about skin and cats? But, you know, there are other ways to address the issue.
Right.
And
without a lumbar puncture.
Less invasive.
But you need a lumbar puncture on an infant. So this is what you do. And I hate talking about that because we already are scared when we go to the hospital as Black people. So I don't want to tell you that with the mindset of you going and questioning everything, because that also doesn't make you look good to us sometimes as healthcare workers. And then once we deem you as non-compliant and difficult, it goes a long way, you know? I don't want you to go into the hospital like that, but I do want people to ask questions and do their own research, especially in non-emergent situations when the baby is sitting here cooing. I got time to think about this. You're not about to put this needle in his spine today. You know what I mean? We got time to think about it. I got time to call my cousin who's a nurse. I got time to, you know, to do a little bit more research before I just let people do anything to my body or my loved ones' bodies.
So that's the agency, right? And we come from kings and queens, and we have a voice, and we have agency, and we are brilliant people. And somewhere down the line, many of us lost our voice, and we then give it over to who we deem as the professional, right? They're the experts. And I want to get us back to a place where we understand that our voice is our community, and that we have agency with one another, and that we can hear and listen to each other in order to, yes, first do no harm, and to all be well as we possibly can be. And so when you think about that, as far as what's going on in our community, right, there's a lot of apathy. There's a lot of despair. There's a lot of disappointment. People are very depressed. And we need to find a pathway, because from where I sit, right, what I understand is that there are many people who have traversed very horrific things and brutality, and we still are here. And so when we talk about like courageous conversations, I'm curious, I'm going to take a turn here. What is the most courageous conversation that you had to have with yourself?
Ooh, with myself. I would say it was getting over my first heartbreak to learn about myself and other people. And when I say heartbreak, I don't mean just romantic. I mean, life heartbreak is that I think that I had to have the conversation so I'm like a very black and white person, you know, and when I grew up, I saw my parents being them going through it. You know, they're divorced now, but they went through it. Okay. Back and forth, together, not together, whatever. And I was like, oh, like if you just like treat people good, they'll treat you good.
Oh, the golden rule.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like
do
it's okay. Like, I'm never gonna have this problem when I'm married, because I'm gonna just, find out what he like, and I'm gonna just do what he like, and then, whatever.
It's gonna be all good.
Same thing with relationships, you know? Oh, if I know how you want to be loved as a friend or as a sister or as a whatever, I'm gonna do that thing, and we're gonna have a great relationship. And I took it as like people were overcomplicating things, and this was the simpler way, and I knew how to do that, So I think my first conversation that I kind of had with myself is like, that's not it, I had to break that down and discover that I don't have control over how people treat me all the time, but I do have control over my experience. I have experiences with people, but I don't own people, right? So I had to realize that I can love on you. I can even ask you how you want to be loved and serve that to you on a platter, okay? With a silver spoon and feed it to you. But that still doesn't mean that you in turn want to treat me well or love me the way that I want to be loved, no matter who you are and no matter what I do. So that was my first heartbreak, but it also led to me understanding that like I am lent people. This is even with death. I am lent people, and I have the right to make sure that I'm having a positive experience. That to me, through a little therapy, period. Okay. Yeah. That to me helped me not be so heartbroken by experiences that went left, because I had to, that's like, for instance, I have a sister who we don't necessarily always get along. In the beginning, I excused her behavior, and I would always say, but that's my sister and I love her. But that's my sister and I love her. And my friends and family would be like, bro, she dog walking you. And I used to be like, but that's my sister. You know what I mean? So I had to take that out and say, like, that's my sister, but this is my experience. I don't own her. I own my experience with her. And now I can set boundaries to what this experience is. Same thing with a man. You dating a man, you can have a great experience with someone, and it may not end the way you want it to, but it ended when that experience stopped being beneficial for you. And to me, that's what I found. Like, okay, yes, this was my courageous conversation with myself, but it lent me this positivity that stopped me from taking stuff so personal. People's stuff don't really be having nothing to do with you. So all I can control is my experience. All I can control is trying my best to make sure we have a good engagement. At the point where it's not beneficial, I can still love you, but say, okay, this is where my experience changes. It may not end, but it's going to change. And I mean, it's a harsh reality. It sucks, but it's helped me just not be so entangled with other people's emotions and how other people make them feel. And it's like, you have agency over that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that courageous conversation with yourself around, okay, what do I have agency over? What do I have control over? Because oftentimes what we're trying to do is we're trying to get somebody else to do what we think they should do. And Dr. Maya Angelou says, when people show you who they are, y'all listen here. Maya Angelou said, believe them.
Hello.
Right? When people show you who they are, believe them. And oftentimes we want more for other people than they want for themselves. And that's the hardest part, right? Because sometimes we really are looking at the people that are in close proximity and saying like, come on, blah, come on, sis. Like, can you get it together? And it's because we have decided that we created a narrative of what we want for them. And that might not be what they want for themselves. And ultimately, we might have to take a step back, do what Mel Robbins said, and say, let them. Let me let them so that then I can let me do what I need to do, right? You said that your parents were divorced, and you also are divorced, right? And so this is interesting because somebody I was talking to not too long ago had, just recently last night, actually, had gotten a divorce after 40 years.
Jesus.
And Oprah had done a podcast on the gray divorce. Do you know what a gray divorce is? So gray divorce is when you've been together for like 30, 40 years and it really isn't that advantageous financially for you after 40 years, and you may not have another 40 to actually go down that road of separating your assets and all of that. But for whatever reason, and in this particular podcast, what she talked about is the fact, or many of her guests that were on that had a great divorce talked about, it was not something that they did lightly. And it wasn't something that they thought about overnight and they just made this split decision or this impulsive decision. They had really thought long and hard about it. And they thought, I've got more years on the front end than the back end. And I don't want to live the back end of my years in this relationship, right? And I often say to people, well, just because you're married doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be together forever. There will be an end point, right? There's a birth, there's a death. Even if the end point is that somebody dies, that
your experience.
particular thing ends, right? But let's say it's not death. Let's say you do decide, like you did or like your parents did, that this relationship is no longer working for you. What kind of decision went into that, and how did you grieve if you did, that loss? Or that experience, we're going to say.
Yeah.
I want to label it.
I think that, first of all, I met my ex-husband when I was really young. I was only 21. So I think that he was my only really experience. You know, I didn't really have a lot of like high school boyfriends that I would consider significant. Even to this day, he probably is, of course, my most significant relationship. And I can say that arriving to that decision it wasn't more so about the current. It kind of was me thinking about my future self. And saying to my future self, like, are you going to be upset that you allowed this for so long? Because again, I think that when we're talking about experience, right, we're talking about having agency over your experience, but we're also talking about allowing people access to you, and it kind of gives you accountability. Because if you are accountable, you know, whenever people break up, it's like, he did this and he did that. How many times you hear people say, well, this is what I did, and this is where I went wrong, and this is what I did?
Not many.
So exactly. So I feel like when you have agency over your experience with someone, you tend to notice when the experience is changing and it's no longer beneficial to you. And then you have the responsibility to change that experience for yourself. So once you start doing that, it gives you accountability over your life in a different way, because you're not looking at it as he's doing this to me. It's like, no, I'm allowing this.
Well, we teach people how to treat us, right?
Right. I'm allowing this.
But did you have challenges that you tried to work through?
Oh, for sure. We went to therapy. We did therapy. We did all the things, but it was one of those things where we weren't going to make it through it. And honestly, he's still the person that he was then. This is just who he is, and this is just who I am, you know? And of course, we've matured and we've grown, but I came to that decision understanding that my future self was still going to feel the way that I felt at that moment, that we were not a match, that it wasn't going to work out. And I also think that, like I said, it comes back to, oh, but that's my man and I love him. But I love him. But like, what do you love?
Well,
Where's your experience?
Here's the thing. I think that and I said this to my husband, maybe the second date. I said, you know, I encounter a lot of people that love their partners. I don't always encounter many people that actually like their partners. So I said to him, love is beautiful. Like is underrated.
Yeah.
We need the like brings you home. The like, it makes you want to share your life story, the ups, the downs, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
And if you are not liking the person that you're with, I consider that extremely problematic.
Yeah.
If they don't like you, nor do they respect you, that's also extremely problematic, right? And so that's why I said, well, you know, if there's that discord, right, then are you able to work on it? Do you understand it? Are you utilizing some skills or tools or developing them to help you find your way back to each other? Or is it just a wrap? Like it just is not going to work. Sounds like that for you. You came to the realization that this is not going to work. Now, is this the father of your child? Okay. So what's the co-parenting look like now?
So in the beginning, it was rough. Okay. Lord have mercy, Jesus on my soul.
It was rocky.
The first couple years, Lord have mercy, because I decided to end the relationship when my son was only 1.
Oh,
so he was so young. It was so much to navigate. It was so much that I felt like I kind of like was like, okay, I'm in over my head. This is a lot. And my ex got remarried immediately.
Oh, wow.
Yes, immediately. So there was a lot to navigate, because it's not just me now and him.
Yeah.
It's another person, and, you know, more kids followed, and it just was a lot going on. So of course that was like really tough, especially because my son doesn't remember us together. So when he saw a picture of me and his dad one day, he's like, oh, so y'all all used to live together in one house? No, sir. So, you know, that could be hard to navigate, because, and also it's somewhat positive too, because now his stepmom he's known her since he was born. Like he doesn't know. He doesn't know that.
This is reality in his experience.
Exactly.
He doesn't know anything different.
She's always been around for him. So it definitely was rough, but I think that it also gave me what I needed to feel like I made the best decision, because he's still that same person. You know what I'm saying? Like there is no.
And maybe he's that same person, and that person is good for someone else, but just not good for you.
Yes, because you go into it and you be like, oh, again, that's my own stuff. I'm going to love him differently. Yeah. I'm going to love him through this. I'm going to love him to the point where he doesn't act like this, or he doesn't do this, or he doesn't do that. But again, I had to come to that realization that like, that's not what's happening, and it's probably not going to happen. This is something that he's going to get to. He may be a great man for somebody else, but not for me. So I think that in seeing that because I mean, I think with anybody, sometimes when people leave people, they leave people thinking they're going to find better. But I tell people you should leave somebody because you're not happy. You shouldn't leave nobody counting on nothing to come after. You should leave because you're not happy in a situation and you don't because marriage goes through ups and downs. So it shouldn't be about temporary happiness. It should be about overall your experience. And something that you said kind of made me think of it. I liked him and I loved him. I didn't like how I felt with him.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting.
I didn't like how he made me feel.
So Dr. Maya Angelou also says people will won't remember what you said or did, but they'll always remember how you make them feel or how they make you feel.
Yes.
And so that makes sense that like, even though the love and the like was there was something about the feeling that felt different. Put a pin in that. For you guys, if you appreciate this conversation, the courageous conversation with Dr. Argie, we have this amazing woman here, Sheena, who is nurse Bay, trained nurse. Like, share, follow. Let us know that you like this content and share that with others because we're continuing to have wonderful, courageous conversations that connect, that's going to get us to the next level. And boy, do we need courageous conversations now. So follow us. So back to this whole like, love, connection, if you will. Dating? Mm-hmm. How's that for you out there in
Girl.
the What's going on out there outside? Because I've been married for a while, so I don't know what's going on outside.
That's all I gotta say.
I hear you, and he's mine, I'm his. We ain't going nowhere. However, here's what I have always said to women. One, put yourself in a target-rich environment. For men as well, right? Because men want love and companionship and partnership as well, right? We are relational beings. So put yourself in target-rich environments. Two, work on yourself. If you don't work on yourself, then what are you showing up as for someone else? Then when you got all that list of things that you want, are you bringing that to the table? And then lastly, have a love affair with you.
Oh, period.
Right? The love affair with yourself will get you to the place that you desire to be with or without a person, right? And I'm not saying that we don't need people because we absolutely do, but too many people are not in love with themselves. They look in the mirror and they don't even like themselves, let alone, yet they want somebody to fall in love with them and like and love them. Let's do our own inner work first and then show up in them streets, on outside, if you will, showing up and illuminating that infectious, assets, all those assets that you have. So for you, when you think about dating, what does that mean to you? And what are the lessons that you've learned about yourself in the dating process?
So
many, right?
Right. So the first thing I would say is that when I first decided that I was going to get divorced, I said to myself, I'm not going to get divorced if I'm going to attract the same type of person again. Because if that's the case, I could just be miserable with him.
Well, now, how did you know that you want to attract the same type of person?
But I think that's also learning why you attracted this person. As a nurturer, as a people pleaser, who do you attract? Narcissists. You know what I'm saying? There's certain parts about you sometimes that attract certain types of people. And, like they say, some people are mirrors of you, So I think that I had to think about myself like, okay, this is the type of man that you want. What would he want in a partner? And I had to think about that for myself because you're saying that you want this and that. How many women I want him to be this, I want him to be that. But girl, you're ratchet. Why would he want that? Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be funny neither.
You're right.
Like, you want a wholesome man that stay home, but you want to go out 3 days a week. And there ain't nothing wrong with that because I go outside. But I'm just saying that, like, we have to think about what is it that you want. You want a man that work out, but you don't work out. You want a man that's ambitious, but you're not ambitious. There's a lot of things that we don't necessarily think about, like when we're attracting people. And I'm not saying it's foolproof, but I'm just saying that, like, I had to think about that. This is what I want. Why am I attracting otherwise? Because I have to work on this. I have to work on that. And I think that so many women, and just in general, just walk outside like, I'm going to get what I want. But it's like, that's not necessarily what you're giving.
So, all right. So did you, God rest his soul, did you ever watch Kevin Samuels?
I've watched clips.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so here's the interesting thing about Kevin Samuels, from my perspective, and I've watched clips too. Delivery, awful from my perspective.
Yeah.
Delivery, not good. But some of the content was not totally off base.
Okay.
because it's similar to what you're saying. Like, you want a man, and I don't do with the numbers, the high value man, high value woman. What I say is value yourself. Now, if you are valuing yourself and you're saying that you want someone that is of high value, that is of integrity, that is honest, that shows up, that says what he means and means what he says. If you want all of that, are you all of that, right? And if you look in the mirror and you're not, then the real work is on you first and foremost, to then show up in the world and say, hey, world, you know, I am amazing. I am beautifully and wonderfully made. What you got for me, right? So that's the messaging that I got. I think, again, the delivery was not good for me. I don't appreciate, quite frankly, people kind of talking in those harsh tones with me. They're not going to get what they want from me when they're kind of talking that way. But the messaging wasn't totally off par. You know, so for you, right, the dating scene, when you're out there, what are you actually seeing? For you, not for the women, but what are you seeing with the men?
Well, first of all, let me just comment on Kevin Samuels real quick.
Okay.
The clips that I saw, I don't think that he was necessarily wrong, like you said. I think he had some good points. I think the part that I necessarily felt was off-putting is that I feel like he targeted Black women a lot.
A lot of people said that.
I think that when I saw how he would talk about white women or mixed women, Hispanic women, it was a lot different than how I felt like he would talk about Black women or talk to Black women. I also think that we have like this fake image of someone being high value when I know a whole lot more big girls that's married than slim ones, if I'm to be honest. I know a whole lot of people that make 70 grand a year that's married than people that are rich. You know what I mean? So I just feel like we have this image in our head of like what it takes to be married, when I know some beautiful single women. You know, I know some handsome single men. I just don't think that I know people with HIV that are married. I know people with, you know, one leg that are married. Like, I just feel like we all of a sudden like put this like energy on, like, if you're like this, then this means that you have the top ranking of everything that you need to be married. And it's like, that's not, people find their people, and sometimes in the most humbling way, you know, by just being normal people and not over or undervaluing themselves, but just showing up as themselves. So we would stop having that conversation like, I'm this and I'm that and I deserve this because of that. Even women, all of us, not men or women, just like calm down and just be yourself. And I feel like whatever is going to flow to me is going to be what I need for when I need it. You know?
Well, so interesting that you say that, because a little bit, you know, when we were upstairs, we were talking about effort, right? And, you know, this whole construct, because it's a social construct, if you will, about like putting forth effort or not. For me, when you're out there in the world, like old school is you show yourself approved. You know, you deliver yourself to the world in an integral way by showing effort about how you care for yourself, right? So what does that really look like? It looks like you putting time in, right? No matter whether or not whomever you're going to attract, and I do believe like people attract like people. We're not going to get into the scoring and all that. But if you are spending time grooming, literally grooming yourself, presenting yourself, not going out, and we were having a conversation about the bonnets and the slippers and all that, and going to the airport, and I just didn't understand it. My daughter was saying, like, you know, Mom, you know, my husband and I called my bonus daughter and said, why do so many women have these bonnets on? Right? Or, you know, even men work like with slippers on and pajamas, right? When did we get to this place where we wear inside clothes outside?
Right.
What happened to us?
And I think that's
Nurse
about,
Bay, let me help me out.
But I think that goes back to like-mindedness. You know, those people gonna find their people too. It's not just me and you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I be trying to say, like, we all gonna find our people. And that's why, like, I'm a lover girl. You know, I like to communicate. I like to, what do you like? I want to figure out what you like. Because like I said, I like to deliver it on a platter with the spoon. You know what I'm saying? I'm a giver. I'm a nurturer. So therefore, I have to find somebody who knows how to carry that and who knows how to give it back to me. It's my job to cancel out those people that don't. But what do? We give it to people and go, why are they giving it back? It's him. I hate him. No, it's you. Why are you giving it to him? You know, and I'm not saying in the beginning, you're just being yourself. But it's up to us to decide when that experience ends and when we're going to cut that off. So that's what I've learned the most in dating is like, you can, there's a certain level of whimsy that comes with being yourself and not being scared of love. I'm not scared of vulnerability. So I'm going to give it to you. But then when I realize that it's not fitting or you're probably not the best person to give it to, it's okay for me to pull it back. And I don't have a regret about it because I gave it from my heart and I ended it when I was supposed to.
Ooh,
That's
good.
I'm fine with it. I'm not mad at it because I'm not mad.
Yeah.
You know why you mad? Because you let it go on for 2 years.
Well, yeah, sometimes
that's what it
people
is.
pass their expiration date.
Exactly. Yes? And that's why you're mad. That's why you got the husband that was not, you loved him, but he wasn't a good person.
Yeah, he wasn't
because
good for you.
You just focused on the love, but not your experience and how actually you felt while you were with the person. So I never really have I've been single now for almost 9 years. Around 8 or 9 years. And I tell people I really haven't had any relationships. Right?
Oh, and the reason, what's the quote, girl?
Okay, it means
what's the relationship?
It means that if we committed to each other, but you weren't really committed, we were never together.
Okay, so it wasn't an agreement,
right?
You weren't in alignment.
Exactly. Yes, so if we said it, but then you didn't do it, then we was never together. So I'm not walking around saying that my boyfriend was Jamal. Like I don't know him. Like we weren't together because we weren't. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like you have to be aligned with people, but you also have to know. I have literally had situations 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. That's the cap. If we not aligned, we gonna find something out by then. If we haven't found it out, then it's time for me to. So therefore, I'm not embarrassed or mad about my experience. Oh no, I gave from my heart. It didn't work out. Now I'm moving on. But I didn't give that person a baby and years and money and time and energy. No, I gave it with the situation accounted for.
I love that. I love that. So there's this thing that we do.
Okay.
At the very end of our conversation.
Okay.
We leave a gift for the next person that sits in that seat, right? And it comes from the work that I do in therapy, where I often will say, what's your anchor word? And it's the anchor word is the word that comes up from the conversation that we've had, from the work that we've done, that anchors us from one session to the next session.
Okay.
And so I want you to think about what your anchor word is, because you're going to leave your anchor word for the next guest. But I also want you to give a promise, right? Okay. And here's the context for the promise. The promise has to do with something in your life that you needed to let go of. And you didn't know that. Your younger self didn't know that, but you found that out in your adult life. And then you made a promise to yourself. So I want you to think about, what would that be? I'm going to
my anchor word and what I'm giving away.
And what you're giving away, what you're letting go as a promise. And you're going to write that here.
What my younger self would give away?
No, what you wanted your younger self to know.
Okay.
That now you know you needed to let go in your adult life.
Okay.
I know I call some people to think. In courageous conversation. Dr. Argie, you got to think. And she's smiling.
Okay.
You spoke. And your anchor word.
I can't hear it. Okay, got it.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, so what I wrote down is that I wish that my younger self would have been able to let go of controlling my experience or controlling how people treat me. You know, I wish I would have focused more on how I wanted to be treated or how I treated me. I feel like I could have literally sailed to the moon if I could have focused more on myself. Imagine all the love and nurturing that I have in me given to myself versus other people.
Ooh, girl. Girl. I love it.
Okay.
You still got time. I got
plenty, and I've been doing it. That's why you seen the glow. Yeah, that's why you seen the glow. Okay, because we're focused now.
Yeah. And so, what's your anchor word?
My anchor word is whimsical.
Whimsical.
Yeah,
I like that.
Because you know what? I think that along my journey, I've lost a lot of my Delulu. And Delulu is what helps you fall in love. Delulu is what makes you jump into your dreams. Delulu is what makes you leap into things that you wouldn't normally have leapt into, because I'm always thinking about my future self and how I can protect her. You know, PTSD, you know all about it.
I know, girl.
But I think that I'm still finding my whimsical, my moments where I don't have to think so hard and I can trust my future self to handle whatever I leave here.
Girl, I love that. So I'm going to take this for the next guest, and I'm going to share this because this is from the previous guest. This is for you. This is your gift.
Can I read it?
You can.
Okay. The promise was to accept all of who I am without trying to be accepted. Oh, that's very similar to mine. And the anchor word is acceptance.
Oops.
And the anchor word is acceptance. That's beautiful. It's funny because that ties in a way, you know.
See how these courageous conversations are
all coming together.
Listen, Nurse Bay, beautiful Sheena.
Thank you.
What I call you today is a beautiful surprise.
Oh, thank you.
You are a beautiful, chocolate, shiny, illuminating surprise. So thank you for being on Courageous Conversations with Dr. Argie.
Much. Are you accepting new clients? Because I've been looking. Okay. Let me tell you how I went on BetterHelp and put all the paperwork in and did everything to get a therapist. And I specifically said I wanted somebody black. And why they had a white man up there? I was so mad.
We can't be having that. We're going to talk offline. I got you.